Welcome everyone who was not in here before. I'll reintroduce myself again. I'm Deanna Albritton. I'm the evening co-anchor at WRIC 8 News. Welcome again to this beautiful, beautiful theater. If you haven't been in here before, it is gorgeous, isn't it? So we are here for the third Women Take the Stage event, and I am so excited for you all to get to know a little bit more about these outstanding women who are about to take the stage for us today. They are about to drop some truth bombs, some wisdom for us. I've heard some little snippets backstage, so I'm really excited about what more they have to share with us today. And we also have some outstanding audience members here as well, so I'm excited for everyone to be here with us and soak in a little bit of what is going to happen on stage today. We also have some folks joining us virtually as well, so even as glad as I am for all of us to be back here in person, I'm glad that some people get to enjoy from the comfort of home or maybe during their lunch break. Well, we also want to get started here, so I want to start by welcoming Abby Haggerty, the Executive Director of the Richmond Performing Arts Alliance, and Natalie Garamone, Chair of the Women's Leadership Council. They're going to come to the stage to make the opening remarks, so welcome them.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Women Take the Stage event. I am Abby Haggerty, and I have the privilege of being the Executive Director for Richmond Performing Arts Alliance. We're so excited to have all of you here today. This event is so special to us, and I would like to take just a minute to honor those who have taken the stage in years past. Our first year in 2019 saw Amy Robach as our keynote speaker, and an esteemed panel of women from Richmond, including Kristen Cavallo, Shannon Siriano Greenwood, and Dr. Pamela J. Royal. And who knew what was to come after 2019? So in 2020, we had to take a pause, but we returned last year with our second event, held virtually, featuring Christine Simmons as our keynote, and Eva DeVirgilis, Stephanie Gilliard, and Lisa Ruggles on our panel of local female leaders. Now this year we return to having a live audience, and we couldn't be happier to welcome you back. For those of you who are just learning about RPAA's work in the community, our mission is to advance the performing arts in the Richmond region through programs and resources that support the artists of today, nurture the artists of tomorrow, and provide spaces for the arts to thrive. This event will help showcase the amazing role that the arts play in building our community. And we hope you will leave here today inspired by this year's theme of embracing the what-ifs and seeing how the arts can play a role in that endeavor. Before we continue, I would like to recognize those who made this event possible by introducing you to our Women's Leadership Council. A tremendous thank you goes to these incredible women for their leadership, so please join me in thanking our chair, Natalie Garamone, as well as Sally Bagley, Angela Kane, Suzanne Gardner, Stephanie Gilliard, Carly M. Nelson, Amy Niesenson, Andrea Perdomo, Felicia Perry, Martha Schley-Smith, Jackie Stone, and Linda Warren. Thank you, ladies. I would also like to recognize two of our RPAA board members who are here today joining us, Sarah Abubakar, who you will hear from later, and Tatiana Manelis. I will now turn the program over to our Women's Leadership Council Chair, Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Good afternoon. It is so wonderful to see your smiling faces. Thank you for being here today. I want to take a moment to thank our generous sponsors for our Women Take the Stage event: Altria, Rosie's, Atlantic Union Bank, McGuire Woods, Patient First, the Martin Agency, Wells Fargo, City Parking Inc., ABC 8 News, Quirk Hotel, The Book Bar, don't forget to get your copy of Sadiqa's book, Sally Bagley, and the 4Gs Charitable Trust. Thank you all. We appreciate your sponsorship. As you all hopefully know, proceeds from today's event directly support RPAA's Bright Lights education initiatives. Today, we're so excited to have one of our digital arts lab student interns, Mackenzie Stevens, serving as part of the professional camera crew for today's event, alongside the team of ABC 8 News. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. We also would love to highlight one of our flagship programs, the Greater Richmond Wolf Trap. In just a few moments, we're actually going to have our Director of Education and one of our esteemed teaching artists join us on stage to demonstrate how this arts-integrated early childhood education program impacts pre-K classrooms around the Richmond region. One way that you all and our virtual attendees and sponsors of Women Take the Stage are giving back today is through the donation of a book to the Greater Richmond Wolf Trap classrooms. This year's selected book is, appropriately, What If by Samantha Berger and Mike Curato. I also ask that in support of today's event and Richmond Performing Arts Alliance and the Bright Lights Education initiatives, that you consider supporting the program and our other RPAA initiatives through a donation. There are gift envelopes in your program as well as a special QR code at the bottom of page 4 in that same program. And I would encourage you to take a moment and consider how you might support RPAA through a tax-deductible gift today. And a little plug for our Women's Leadership Council. If you're interested in joining us and volunteering for the event or joining the council, please let us know. You can actually do that by just ticking the checkbox on your program to let us know that you're interested. I hope that the next up Greater Richmond Wolf Trap presentation will demonstrate for you the significant impact that RPAA has on the community and the value of arts education in our schools. At this time, I'd love to welcome to the stage Jennifer Maddox, RPAA's Director of Education and Community Engagement, as well as Susie Redding, Greater Richmond Wolf Trap teaching artist.
Thank you so much, Natalie. As Abby mentioned, part of RPAA's mission is to nurture the artists of tomorrow. One of the key ways that we ensure that our youngest artists have the access to the arts is through Greater Richmond Wolf Trap, arts integrated residencies. During these residencies, we pair up teaching artists with early childhood educators to help them understand and practice how to use the arts to teach literacy, math, and social emotional skills. We know that by training our teachers, we're not only having an impact on the students they teach this year, but on students they'll have in classes for years to come. Today, we want to give you a chance to have your very own Greater Richmond Wolf Trap experience. To do that, I'd like to introduce you to one of our teaching artists, Susie Redling. Before she joins me in the center of the stage, let me tell you a little bit more about Susie. Susie Redling is a professionally trained dancer and performer, a registered certified 200HR yoga instructor, and a Greater Richmond Wolf Trap teaching artist since spring of 2021. In fact, she was one of our virtual class who got to train virtually with us while we were all at home during the pandemic. She's also a seasoned dance teacher and choreographer in several dance styles, including ballet and music theater. Through the power of movement, Susie works to acknowledge the changing atmospheres of our world and aims to nourish the skills and self-evolution of her students. By doing so, she hopes to foster a passion for dance and the performing arts in the youth of our local communities of the Richmond and Tri-Cities area. So please help me welcome Susie to the stage.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to share with you today a transition exercise, a transition sequence that I share with my teachers to help bring our preschoolers to the carpet and get them focused, ready for the lesson, because you all are about to hear some amazing things, and that's what we try to do with our preschoolers as well. So if you want to join me staying seated in your seats, doing whatever is comfortable for you. We're going to start by reaching your hands way up high, clap them twice. Reach your hands way up high, clap them twice. Reach your hands way up high like you want to touch the sky. Reach your hands way up high, clap them twice. Reach your elbows to the side, nice and wide. Reach your elbows to the side, nice and wide. Reach your elbows to the side and swing them open wide. Reach your elbows to the side, nice and wide. This one's a favorite among the preschoolers. Twinkly fingers all around. Then on your head. Twinkly fingers all around. Then on your hips. Twinkly fingers all around. They go up and they go down. Twinkly fingers all around. Then on your shoulders. We're gonna take a deep breath in, and let's roll it down. We're gonna take a deep breath in, and let's pat it down. Take a deep breath in, and disco down. Take a deep breath in, and melt it all the way down. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susie. You see why I love my job every day. I'm so impressed with you guys, such flexibility out there while having a lunch on your lap. So good job to you. Give yourselves a pat on the back or on the head or wherever you so choose. Now I'd like to welcome Deanna back to the stage.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? I was back there doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I will not subject you to my singing because unlike the people that you are about to hear from who have real talent, I was just a part of the dance troupe in high school musical theater productions. So we'll just leave it at that, won't we? All right, so are you all ready? All right. Well, first I want to, again, thank Jen and Susie for that wonderful illustration of what our classroom teachers and students get to experience through Greater Richmond Wolf Trap. So obviously these teaching artists are doing some really amazing work, and I love that everyone here and everyone who's watching virtually is getting a chance to see what kinds of work that the Richmond Performing Arts Alliance really gets to fund and really gets to help. So thanks for the amazing work that they're doing in our schools and in our community, and thank you to our donors and our funders for supporting this important work, and of course all of you who are here today. From an evaluation of the Wolf Trap model, RPAA knows that it leads to higher standardized test scores, increased language development, enhanced 21st century skills, extra days of learning in math, and improved teacher practice. Obviously, all of those things are keys, and when we talk about trying to improve retention rates, graduation rates, these are all things that help our entire community, not just the students who are benefiting from this in the classroom. So now it's my privilege, now that you've heard all of those benefits, to welcome the moderator and our esteemed panelists to the stage. I'm going to introduce them one by one, so I would love you all to give them their flowers, their due, as I welcome each of them to the stage. I want to start with Daphne Maxwell Reid, actress, photographic artist, and designer. Going to be doing our wonderful moderating. Sadiqa Johnson, award-winning author of The Yellow Wife, a fantastic book. Maggie Small, acclaimed ballerina, freelance writer, and studio operator. And Scotty Thompson, actress and activist. So buckle in, ready for a great discussion from all of them.
Well, hello, hello. It's good to see a nice crowd here. Welcome to Tuesday. I'm going to get started by suggesting that we all think about the what-ifs of life. What if I turned right instead of turning left? What would my life be like? We're going to get to what ifs, and we're going to get to procedures on how to go through life by listening to the wonderful talent that I have assembled up here. I guess we'll start with Sadiqa. You are an author, and tell us about your book to start with.
Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome. I know you can be anywhere on a Tuesday afternoon at lunchtime, so we are also grateful that you have chose to be here with us. As she mentioned, I'm Sadiqa Johnson. I am the author of Yellow Wife. Yellow Wife, oh, thank you, thank you.
Members members of your book club?
Right, I have some book club members here. Yellow Wife is a story that I discovered while walking the Richmond Slave Trail with my family in 2016. It is loosely inspired by the story of Mary Lumpkin. I fictionalized it, and so it's the story of Phoebe Dolores Brown, who is 17 when the story opens. She is the daughter of the master of the plantation, along with his favorite enslaved woman, Ruth, who is the medicine woman. And Phoebe has been promised freedom her entire life. It's something she's always known. But a series of events take place, and instead of the idyllic life she has imagined for herself, she is thrust into the bowels of slavery, where she ends up at the jail, and she catches the eye of the owner, and there she has to outwit him, not only to survive for herself, but also for all of the people who she cares for.
And you come from a journalism background, correct?
I started off in publishing.
Publishing?
Yeah, so my first job out of college was Scholastic Books. I was a publicist. I got to work on the first 3 Harry Potter books. Oh. Which was amazing, and I have all 7 of them autographed at a very high place on my bookshelf. My kids are not allowed to touch them.
Oh, no, get them appraised. Excellent. So, how did you go from being a publicist to actually writing a novel?
Yes. Well, when I was a publicist, I had the privilege of working with New York Times bestsellers, and I used that opportunity to pick their brains, and this was back before COVID. So we used to ride in the car with them to the Today Show and Good Morning America, and I would ask questions. How'd you get an agent? Where do you get your ideas from? How did you get started? And they were gracious and helpful, and so I would write every day at work. At 4 o'clock, I would close my door and pretend like I was working on real work, but I was working on my work.
Real work.
And that was sort of the beginning. It was definitely a grind. My first book, I had finished it and thought I was gonna go off and be a New York Times bestselling author. Well, my agent took that book to market, and she wasn't able to get one single person on board to buy it. So I started my own publishing company.
Of course. That's what you do.
Yes.
And you're doing that now? Is you Madam Publisher?
So I am Madam Publisher, but my novel is with Simon & Schuster, because what I realized was that self-publishing, the major word in self-publishing is the word self. And it was just too much self for me, and so I have turned it over to the big boys.
Ah, very good. We'll talk more about that publishing business backstage, you and I. Are you planning to write a sequel to Yellow Wife?
Do you guys want a sequel?
What happens to Phoebe?
What happens to Phoebe? What happens to her children? Inquiring minds want to know. I do not know what happens. And so right now I am working on another historical fiction novel, which is called With the World Between Us. And that takes place in the 1940s and 1950s, and it comes out in April of 2023. So I never say never to a sequel, but I always leave little threads that if I want to go back and write about something, I can kind of pull at it.
And your genre is historical novels?
Now
you
it
like that
is.
Piece of research that you do that sparks a whole conversation?
I do. I feel called now to sort of shed a light in dark places in our history, things that we don't want to talk about and things that we want to forget, and sort of bring it to the surface and write about it. So I've caught the bug.
I'm so glad you did. We're going to move over now to Miss Maggie. I've known Miss Maggie for many, many, many years. I have seen her bloom into a beautiful ballerina, and now she's bloomed into a businesswoman. She has gone through a whole lot of life that I've been watching closely, and very proud of you. Tell us about your performing arts in the beginning. How did you get started in ballet?
Well, I got started like many young dancers. I had a lot of energy and did a lot of activities, and ballet was one of them, and it was just always my favorite. So the more ballet lessons, jazz lessons, character, tap I could take, the more I took, and it just became all of my activities eventually, and then I was able to follow it into a career.
Did you find any challenges in getting into the world of ballet having to do with being biracial?
You know, I grew up at Richmond Ballet, where we have always had a really diverse company, professional company to look up to. A lot of dancers train in schools that don't have a professional company necessarily. And I was very lucky to see people that I wanted to be like, who I felt like resembled me as well.
Wonderful. And now you're a member of Richmond's Public Arts Commission?
Yes, I am on the Public Art Commission.
Tell us what you want to do while you're there.
Well, so I'll be honest, when I started with the Public Art Commission, I didn't know a lot about it. And as I've been on it for about 1.5 years now, and the city has funding that can be given to different projects throughout the city, and it's been really exciting to collaborate with different people. Everyone on our commission and then the different committees come from different art mediums, different parts of the community, different walks of life, and it's been really enlightening to see how art can make its way into the public sphere in different ways.
And how do you feel that public art makes a community better?
Well, I think it gives everybody sort of a gathering place, some communal point that we can all be interested in and learn from and talk about. It gives us all something that's ours. It's all of ours, and it means something different to each one of us. I think it's a great way to learn.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. Tell us what you're doing now.
I now operate a ballroom and Latin dance studio, which is very different than the ballet world that I was in before.
And you're all welcome to go learn how to do these things.
It's very exciting to be in a world where people are introduced to dancing at not the age of 3, like I was, and to watch them blossom into the best dancer they can possibly be, whether they are starting in their 20s and reliving something that they started when they were younger, or whether they're starting when they're 90 for the first time ever and getting to experience what dance can do for anybody.
Tell me how your experience as a performing artist has influenced what you intend to do the rest of your life.
Well, as a performer, you are always ready to perform. You know, the way you present yourself, whether you're on stage or in person, is very important. And I find that as a performing artist, there's an element that never stops. You're always thinking about how you can make a story more excitable with your physicality.
And you're writing now?
Yes, I write with Point Magazine, freelancing, and that's actually one of my favorite what-if stories, so I'll save it.
Tell us a little bit more about the magazine.
Sure. Point Magazine is a magazine aimed toward ballet dancers. They used to have published magazines, and now they're mostly online. And it's for young dancers, professional dancers who are all interested in lots of different topics. And I've enjoyed getting to write about things that were really important to me as a dancer and sharing it with young dancers and older dancers.
Wonderful. Thank you, Miss Maggie.
Thank you.
Now, all the way down to the end there is a compatriot I found out. Yeah. This is Scotty, and you're an actress. And we got to work kind of in the same place, near the same time, very recently.
Yeah.
And I know you are all watching Bel-Air, right? She's on it too. It was nice to do that little shout out with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's a legend, so.
Tell us how you got into your acting career.
Well, actually, the same avenue as Maggie got into her career was through ballet. And I knew Maggie when we were both at the Richmond Ballet and danced on this stage.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's really nice to be back here. I'm having some memories of staring out into the audience, or lack of audience, on dress rehearsal and shutting down the entire Richmond Symphony. And, you know, so it's a really full circle moment to be back here. But my passion for performance was definitely sparked doing ballet and being on stage. And, you know, I did little shows when I was a kid at home, put on some plays. as a child, but that didn't really lock it in until.
So you've been expressive from the get-go, huh?
I'd say so.
So tell me how you transitioned from ballet to film.
Yeah, done a little theater in there, but it was actually theater in college that was the transition for me, because I started to audition for plays my freshman year at school, and I was like, oh, this is a way to marry my mind and the depth of character that you can access in plays, and at the time it was mostly just plays. A little more mind challenge to augment the body awareness, and so it's sort of like the perfect marriage and allow me to still perform. So that was kind of how I got into acting, and then I got my first acting job professionally. I was working in Boston for a summer, and I had no idea how to get an agent or any of that. It's, it's a journey. And I took a course on auditioning for film and TV in downtown Boston, and they brought me in for a pilot, and I didn't know what a pilot was, for Showtime, and I didn't know what Showtime was. So it was real beginner's luck, because in the room was this world-famous director and the creator of the show, and I don't know, they just must have seen something, and they kept bringing me back for various other roles until I locked one that made sense. And then I thought, oh, this will be so easy. Definitely not what I was set up for, but it's been a journey for sure.
A journey that you've enjoyed?
It's got its highs and lows. We were talking earlier about it being a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So it's amazing when it's amazing, and it's figuring out how to stay sane in between and not be all your friends' worst nightmare.
So,
or family.
What do you do in the downtime to keep you sane?
Oh man, all kinds of things. I've tried my hand at producing. Last year I produced a film with Gabriel Byrne and Thomas Jane and Richard Dreyfuss and some fabulous folk. And then I've been writing a lot, like Miss Maggie over here, been trying to create content myself, and so I have been pursuing that, and then take walks in nature, meditate, that kind of thing.
Hobbies of any kind?
I'm certified in Pilates, so I love doing anything to physical stuff, like.
Keep moving.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to put it.
Okay, we're going to start now by asking you some what-if questions that everybody's out there thinking about, the what-ifs. What does embracing what-ifs mean to you, Sadiqa?
Embracing what-ifs means just being open. I find that if I am open to what the universe has planned for me, that I'm a little bit more in touch with what I'm supposed to be. If I get too heady about things and try and control it and want my way and it needs to be this way or that way, then it never goes right. But if I'm open to well, what if the plan is, and I let it fold out, it always works out.
What does it mean to you, Maggie?
So when I first thought about this, I thought about it from a dancer lens, where you're sort of forced to embrace the what if, because when you're on stage and it's happening, it's happening. So embracing the what ifs is really being present in the moment to me and being aware of how I can move forward with what's presented around me.
An acceptance kind of.
Yeah.
And Scotty's got a new microphone.
I'm special.
But it's not working yet. They'll turn it on eventually.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Hello.
What about the what-ifs of your business?
Oh man, well they already nailed two of the things I was thinking about that definitely apply. And I think, it's a question of being open to possibility, because as you well know, you can walk into a room, or these days just put yourself on tape, and your life could change the next day. And that's harder to do, I think, as time goes by, to remain open, and so it's a conscious effort to be that way and to stay present in your life and in your work when you're actually doing the work, because you don't know what you'll discover in a performance when you let go of whatever idea you have in your head and just see what comes through.
Oh, dear. What if the phone rings while you do it?
What if you just booked a job?
I thought, sure, I put it on silent. We embrace those moments, don't we?
That's right.
Okay. Do you have any regrets that you have realized should not have been regrets?
The biggest regret I had was when I was first starting off in publishing. I regretted the fact that I had gone out with an agent and she was not able to get me a publishing deal. I did not want to start a publishing company. That was never the dream for me. My dream was always, I need a big company, I need New York Times bestseller, I need. But it was like the moment I said yes to sort of self-publishing and starting this company myself, everything I needed came my way. And if I had not had that experience, now that I'm on the other side of publishing with the big publishing house and the publicists and the marketing people and the sales team, I wouldn't know how to sort of guide my career. Because what I learned from working this business by myself was that I'm my own best advocate. And so now with the publishing house, I am in a partnership as opposed to please tell me what to do. So if I had not done that, if I had not had that experience, I wouldn't know how to move through it now.
Excellent, yes. Have you any regrets, Miss Maggie?
When I first started my professional career, I was an apprentice at Richmond Ballet, and then I went to NYU for a year for dance. And if you asked me that question the year I came back from NYU, I would say, yes, I regret going. However, about 3 or 4 years after that, I realized that it was a really important step in my journey as a professional dancer because it gave me perspective that I would not have had otherwise. It gave me certainty about where I wanted to be and how I wanted to be dancing. And I think that was very important for me to learn because it's something that I've carried with me as I've gone through my dancing career. Because things happen, you get injured, or you're not able to do something the way that you wanted, or you didn't get the part that you want. And it feels like those could easily become regrets that are consuming, but I remember that experience when I turned the corner and was like, you know what, it's really good that I did go to school for that year and sort of figured out some questions that I didn't know I even had.
Excellent. And Scotty, do you have any regrets of anything that you did that proved to be, boy, I'm glad I have that regret?
I think anything that I think I'm regretful about ends up being a lesson that I can take with me. There's roles I turned down that I, wish I hadn't, but there's really no point in beating myself up or regretting it because time is moving and I'm moving forward and it is what it is and it was what it is. And I think my bigger regret that I'm sitting with now is having an idea of what it should look like and being upset about that not being the reality. So it's that distance between dream and reality, and so it's my current regret that I have the capacity to, change at this juncture, but it's a practice.
There's a statement that I've heard that says, how to make God laugh, make a plan.
Amen.
I think that regrets are the kind of road signs in our lives that point us in a different direction, and it's always the right direction. So regrets are just a road sign. Move on. I like that. So I'm supposed to ask you about how the arts has shaped your life. Besides being a writer, what arts are you interested in participating in or watching?
I started off in theater as well. I went to college as a theater major, so that was kind of my beginning. And I remember I went to Freedom Theater in Philadelphia and running around asking my teachers, how do you get an agent? How do I get started? And they kept saying, learn your craft first. And that was something that really helped me. And so now I think I love going to the Virginia Fine Arts Museum. That's one of my favorite places in Richmond. Whenever they have a new exhibit, I'm there. Whenever I travel, I go into the museums and get a feel for the art. So I would say if I wasn't doing this, I always feel like maybe there would be a job for me at the museum, curating or something. I'm not sure, but I definitely I am into art.
Very nice. And besides dance, what arts thrill you, Miss Maggie?
All of them. One of the fun things about being a dancer is that there's so much art involved in just producing a ballet. Like, we met when we did Midsummer with the opera and the symphony, and then the costume designers are artists, the set designers are artists. Everything informs how you can develop your perspective on what role you're playing, that sort of thing. So I always enjoy, whenever we travel, we go to museums, learn as much about the art and the area and how that's crafted and cultivated the artists of that area. And we have one of our ballet teachers, Mr. Mader, who taught at the Richmond Ballet for a long time.
We love you, Mr. Mader.
Yeah. He recently passed away, but one of the best gifts he gave me as a young dancer is to learn to love watching dance. Like, go see it, even if it's something you don't think you're going to enjoy. Go see it and find out why it's relevant to other people. How can it inform what you are contributing to the arts and culture?
All of life is a lesson. Scotty, besides being a performer since you left the womb, what kinds of arts are you interested in participating in or watching?
Well, I love watching ballet. Will always hold a special place in my heart. And like you, Sadiqa, I'm really interested in the visual arts. I'm actually just starting to write for a fine art magazine out in LA. And so I was in New York this past week and got to go see an exhibit, specifically an exhibit at the Met about Jacques-Louis David, who's a famous 1700s during the French Revolution artist. And it was about his process. So it's so cool to see they pull back the wings and take a peek at, you normally walk in a museum and you just see the final product. You walk into a theater and you see the final product. You turn on your TV screen and you see the final product, and it's so rare that we get a glimpse into what the process is.
Yeah.
And so, all the arts, also, just an artistic existence is intriguing to me, writing in general. So anyway, anything that, I love seeing people tell stories and how they approach that and what form they choose to tell it in.
Maggie, if I put a paintbrush in your hand, what would you paint?
Well, I'd probably get really nervous about picking something good, and then I would probably think about some choreography and then dance the choreography with the paintbrush.
So it would be musical.
Yeah.
Scotty, what would you paint?
A tree, because I love trees.
And Sadiqa, what would you paint with a paintbrush in your hand?
I only have one drawing ever, and it's a tree with a little hole in the middle, some blades of grass, a flower with a tulip, and some birds. That's all I can do.
Not what you can do. What will you do with that paintbrush?
Okay, so now I have superpowers, right? I can just do whatever. Well, that changes things. Oh gosh, what would I paint then if it wasn't something that I had to paint? I think it would just be whatever song I feel in my heart. It would have music to it as well. I think something with music.
I understand very much. When you reflect, Scotty, on your life and career, do you have any thoughts of what if?
All the time.
And what would your what if list look like?
What if I had said yes to this? What if this thing that I feel pretty good about my choices I made had turned out differently? Because
You know, you can go in and do your job as an actor and actually not be mad at yourself for all your choices you made and feel confident in your work, but you don't have any control over the final product.
Correct.
So what if this had turned out differently or been received differently?
What do you do with your what ifs?
I'd say I torture myself for a little while and then do my best to let them go, because again, it's kind of like the regret, and if you dwell in it, it doesn't serve you, and it allows me to think, okay, how will I approach this question when it comes my way differently next time around, and what lessons did I learn as a producer who didn't have say over this or that, or as an actor. You know, there's just ways to take what's happened and think about how to approach it and take different steps in the future.
Do you feel like it's a guide for your journey?
Yes, for sure.
What ifs?
Another one of those signs.
Yeah, what ifs don't have to be negative.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this didn't happen. What if I had done? It can be a guide to, what if I take this step? Let's see where that'll go and enhance your journey.
Yeah.
All righty, there's going to be some questions from the audience, I believe. And if you guys have any statements you want to make about what you think about the arts community in Richmond, I think now is a really good time.
When I first moved to Richmond, the very first thing I knew I needed to plug into was the James River Writers. I knew about James River Writers when I lived in New Jersey, and I don't really know how I knew, but I just knew as soon as I get to Richmond, that's the first thing that I need to do. And that was such a welcoming community for me. I learned a lot as a writer. It gave me community. It gave me a place to put my voice. So that was really my first plug in. But I've also participated in First Fridays, where you can go to the different art studios and things of that nature, and that's been pretty wonderful. So overall, I would say with the shows at the Carpenter Center and Dominion Arts, I try and get tickets where I can when they have the Broadway shows come here. So I would say I'm pretty happy and plugged in as much as I can be.
We might get you on one of these arts boards. Keep you plugged in. And I know what you love about Richmond, but let's hear it.
Well, the Richmond arts community is where I grew up and enjoyed most of my career. I think that when you're in a particular genre, like dance or music or whatever it is that your art medium is, it's easy to get really focused and insular on what you do. And the more and more that I was able to see what else was happening out there, whether it was dance or music or theater or fine art, the more informed I became about the different possibilities of collaboration, who I could learn from, how I could inform myself to be a better representative of dance in our community. So my personal experience has been that it's wonderful, and it's even more wonderful when you dive into all of it a little bit more.
Now, Scotty, you have the advantage of having the great art community of New York City at your feet.
Yes, New York and Los Angeles, but I am very grateful to Richmond for feeding my creative soul, and to the Richmond Ballet specifically for offering me a place to allow that to blossom. And I know there's, I mean, the VMFA is right down the street from us here, and there is a really incredible community of artists. And VCU, I remember I worked at the Bird Theater when I was an apprentice because I needed to make a little extra money. And yeah, there are a bunch of like students there who were all in the arts community and scene, and even working at the Bird Theater, and everyone wore all black, and I felt really out of place, but I'm not really that goth. I did dye my hair black for Halloween, and the ballet got really mad at me, so I felt like I fit in for a hot second, but it was just, that expanded my understanding of what Richmond has to offer, because I'm kind of like Maggie. It was like very singular focus for me, and that broadened my horizons for sure.
Excellent. Well, you have any last statements you'd like to make before we open this up for questions? Okay. Who out there's got a question? I know you're awake. There's a question right there. Let's hear it loud and clear.
You guys have been fabulous. Thank you so much. I'm a Richmonder. I know a lot of people here are, but Richmond has really, I love the fact that it has a lot of future, and the fact that, as you mentioned, VCU, sculpting, art, and food, and music, and I think everybody's really excited about the future of Richmond. As artists, where would you like to see it go in the next, say, 10 years?
As artists, where would you like to see Richmond bloom to? Is that the question? All righty. Start with Scotty. Where would you like to see Richmond bloom to?
Well, I think that it's already on the world stage a little, or at least the U.S. stage. I mean, I know Richmond Ballet's gone all over the world, and I think there's such a draw to the universities here and schools to study, and I think just to continue to strengthen that. And I would imagine having some, education is such a key part of it all, and I think that starts in, government organizations have a responsibility to nurture those, and I think that's an important piece of the conversation here and around the country. So I feel like that's a place that you can really allow things to grow from. So that's one piece.
Any more questions? Okay, I'm going to dig back into my bucket for questions. Oh, there's one over here. Hello, Miss Armstrong. How are you?
I'm delighted to be here. My question is, what do you... Oh, thank you. My question is, what do you think, as women, artists, you uniquely bring to the arts and cultural communities?
As women, what do you think? We didn't hear the last part of it, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. What do you, as women, bring as uniquely women gifts to the arts and cultural community?
For me, I think I bring a level of sensitivity. It's really important for me as I'm telling stories to be sort of sensitive about the nature in which the characters lived. And so as I was writing Yellow Wife, it was my first time writing historical fiction. I was a contemporary fiction writer before, and so my what if would have been, what if I was afraid? What if I had not taken the leap of faith that I could switch from contemporary fiction to historical fiction? And so I think the subject matter in which I'm writing about, there has to be a level of sensitivity, but there also has to be a sense of truth. And that was what I set out to do when I was writing the story, is that it was more important for me to tell the truth as I had learned it, as opposed to being uncomfortable about the story that I needed to tell. And so being honest, being vulnerable, being open to that energy that flows through us was really important. We don't do this by ourselves. I don't know if you guys co-sign, but for me, I don't feel like as I'm writing a book, it's me who's writing the book. I feel like I am open, I am a channel, and that the story is flowing through me. And my job is really to receive it and to give it to the computer, to the page, to the book, as it comes through me, without me trying to censor it, without me trying to tell it what to do. Like, I'm just your person, and I'm trying to get it out. And I think that as women, we have that sixth sense. We have those moments of intuition. We have that gut feeling that we have the opportunity to tap into. And I think for me, that's what makes really good art.
As a woman, what have you found as challenges to what you're attempting to do?
They don't want to pay me. I want to get paid what the men get paid, and they don't want to pay me.
Let's fix that. Any more questions?
Hi, yes, good afternoon. My name is Annie Kai Larson, and thank you, first of all, for being all here today and sharing your stories. I grew up in a public school for a few years where unfortunately budget cuts had to be made, and arts were cut as the first of the system because apparently math and science had to stay. So what would you say to the critics of folks with budget cuts and budget constraints, and especially our public schools that say arts, they have no place in our childhood early education or our middle schools or high schools?
Don't let me get to preaching. But what do you think?
Obviously, I think that the arts are really informative outside of academic curriculum. They are stimulating for the brain in ways that you can't find just doing regular...
A book?
Yeah, math. I think it's imperative that the arts are a part of what we do, and I think it's imperative that it's not one singular form of art. I feel like sometimes you hear, well, we've cut music, but we've substituted it with, art class with painting and stuff. They are different, and people don't know what they're capable of unless they're exposed to it. So I think it's absolutely necessary that we find ways to make it possible, whether it's through grants, whether it's through being active in your community to make sure that it's available. I think it's really important that the arts are available in school.
Good, Commissioner. Okay, way in the back there. Yeah, you!
Hi, everybody. Literally, #1 fan of everyone on stage today. Quick question. I'm dying to know. Scotty, Maggie, Daphne, what is your #1 favorite role of your entire career? Sadiqa, please tell me your #1 favorite book you've ever read. Not written, but read.
We'll start with the books.
Ooh. That's like asking me to choose which one of my children are my favorite, because books are my friends. But I will say books that really, and I can't pick one, I'm sorry, but I'll say that Maya Angelou's memoirs really inspired me. It was the first time that I saw myself on the page. I would say Terry McMillan, her book Mama changed my life. It was the first time that I thought, oh, maybe I could do this. And Maya Angelou, and Zora Neale Hurston, my daughter's name is Zora. Their eyes were watching God was just, everything.
Okay, Scotty, what was your favorite role?
Okay, it was one that a few people saw in a theater last year. So it was a role that I'd gotten to experiment with in a workshop led by John Patrick Shanley, who's an Oscar-winning, Pulitzer Prize-winning, amazing playwright. And 3 years later, he did a reading and reached out and asked me to play this role that I'd been dreaming of. And she got to be high on mushrooms in one of the scenes and just was all over the place, and it was just so much fun.
Maggie, your favorite role?
My favorite role that I danced is probably Eve in After Eden. It was like a 20-minute pas-de-deux of Adam and Eve after their fall from grace, and you ran the gamut of emotions in your relationship and personally, and I had the opportunity to dance it a few times in my career. So the first time I was like, this is so cool, and then the next time I thought, oh, you can do this better. And then I got to develop my artistry within that little pas-de-deux for a long time, and I really enjoyed it.
One of my favorite roles that I saw you in, watching you do, was the one of the biography of who was the woman?
Oh, Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday.
That was a really fun one, too.
That was a beautiful performance. And you want to know what my favorite joke? I've had too many favorites. My absolute favorite television show that I was a part of was called Frank's Place. And it was a gem. It was a gem, and I'm really proud of that piece of work.
I like that show too.
You made me cry. More questions. I saw hands up. We got one way down here in the front.
Hello. I'm a little dangerous with a mic. I do want to also echo what she said. Love everybody up there. I just met Scotty, so new best friend. So my question is for Sadiqa. So we know that there are lots of different arts opportunities for performing arts, but is there anything that you think we should have in the Richmond community for children, adolescents who want to write? I had the privilege of taking one of her writing courses, and it was so simple, because in my head I want to write, but then I pick up the pen and I have like literally nothing to say. Full disclosure, I'm a contract attorney, so I know how to write contracts, but nothing else. But she was amazing. She gave us writing prompts, and I was like, writing away. I was like, oh, this is so easy. Clearly, I haven't written my book yet, but Molly is coming. But that's my question.
Yes, thank you. Teaching writing is one of my favorite things because you connect with people in a deeper level. But I think that we have classes for children. I've taught at Visual Arts, and also Life in 10 Minutes and Richmond Young Writers has classes. But I think we could do more because a lot of people don't know about those two places, you know, where you could get a class. I agree that if we had more opportunities in schools, it would definitely make a difference. So whether it would be like after school programs or anything that we could do virtually to get kids involved, because writing is one of those things that if you catch a kid early and say, yes, that diary that you're keeping, that's gonna turn into something. So like keep writing every day in your diary, keep writing every day in your journal. And as you continue to do that, things start to happen. What I tell my students is 10 minutes before bed. If you commit to writing 10 minutes before bed, before you know it, you look up and you're writing 30 minutes before bed. And then you open up your computer and you have 50 pages in front of you. And so the practice of writing is that. It is a practice, and it's something that you have to do every day. I had to write today before I came. And if I don't, my characters stop talking to me. And so I think if we teach children that at an early age, then that will get them going.
Thank you. I'm taking all this in.
Someone way over there.
Over there, there's a hand up with a white shirt on over there. Oh, all right, darling. How are you, Miss Jenny?
So I probably don't need the mic, but so what would be, and I think you have just answered this, that you would give your best advice to your 12-year-old self, looking back on your careers and what you've done?
Who wants to start? Scotty? Go ahead.
Okay. Gosh, that's a good one. I would say stay open, echoing back to Sadiqa earlier, and forgive yourself as you go along the way. It's not going to look like what you thought it was going to look like, and be grateful for when it happens, because you just don't know when it's going to happen. And have fun. Have more fun. I would say have way more fun.
Maggie, what would you tell your 12-year-old self?
Well, when you said that, I thought, well, when I was 12, I was Clara on the stage, so I was like, this is it! I'm doing this for the rest of my life! So I guess I would tell her, stay the course. And I agree with Scotty to enjoy some of the moments that might have seemed frustrating or stagnant, because those are really informative times that can help you later on in your career.
Sadiqa?
I would say all of that, but I would also say don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens. Don't be frustrated. Don't be so hard on yourself, and laugh.
Mm-hmm. Joy. Oh, you want an answer from me? I would tell my 12-year-old self, be patient. It's coming. And receive it with joy. And get up if you fall down.
And don't let other people define who you are.
We have a hand over here.
Stop worrying about other people's opinions.
I'm not going to stand up because it was leg day today, so my legs kind of hurt. But I'm an artist. I'm a painter. So a lot of people that have met recently don't know that, because I've gone through a funk where I just stopped doing it altogether. And now I can't pick myself back up to get back into it. I procrastinate. I find things not to do. I have set my whole garage up and try to motivate myself, but there's something in me that I just like, girl, don't do it today, do it tomorrow. Have you guys ever gone through that funk of, like, I guess you would call it writer's block, but artist block? Have you guys ever gone through a artist or dancer's block or writer's block? And if you've gotten yourself out of it, how? Because I need assistance with that.
If I have a block, I usually change direction. I do something else that is fulfilling. And the time and space to accomplish what I'm blocking at will mend itself, and I will get back to it with the information I need to move forward. So I always have different things that fulfill me, and when one is on pause, writer's block or dancer's block, I don't do the dancer block, then I do some other form of fulfillment while this is percolating. Because a block is just a percolation, and you're trying too hard, so let it come. Let it come.
Yes, I echo all of that. And when it comes to writing for me, when I realize I'm hitting something, and I don't even call it writer's block, because to me that's giving negativity too much energy. So I just say, like, it's something in my way. I need to go back and either write a character bio, get to know my characters a little bit better, research a place, read an interesting article that has something to do with something that has something going on in the book, so that I'll get ideas and things will start to flow. But then sometimes I'll just go and, like, paint my daughter's bedroom and listen to Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. And when I get finished all of that, now I'm ready to write again.
Scotty, do you have blocks in what you're doing?
All the time. Right now.
Okay.
I painted a fence the other day because I was seeking some kind of creative inspiration with my dear friend's 6-year-old son out in LA. So yeah, I have it all the time, and it's like sometimes a daily thing, and sometimes I go through longer stretches where I'm feeling it in a good way. But yeah, I think looking at it like it's just, I need to step away and seek another form of creative fulfillment or just general life joy.
Maggie, do you have any blocks?
Yeah, as a dancer, you definitely feel like you hit plateaus. And every day you take an hour-and-a-half ballet class and you reevaluate your body, and sometimes you go months where you're like, this is the same every day, it's not getting better. And what I found is that if I, kind of like both of you were saying, approach it from a different angle, there's so many different things you can focus on, and if you're constantly focusing on the one thing that's not improving, not getting better, you do get stuck. And so I would make it something fun, like I'm gonna focus on listening to the music today because it's really pretty. I get to hear live piano music every day, and that's what I'm gonna do for this week. And then something will start moving and clicking in a different way.
All right. Well, I love the answers to that question. We do have time for one more question. Oh. So does anybody else have a question they'd like
somebody
to ask?
over here has got their hand up, and they're pointing that way.
Hi. In your careers as artists, critiques have to come your way, I'm sure. How do you handle it? I mean, and anxiety that might go with the other answers that you were giving as far as blocks. And how do you stay inspired? How do you overcome any negative comments that come your way?
I can answer that question right quickly. Doesn't bother me at all. You're entitled to your opinion. If I don't get an audition that I've tried out for, it is because it's not my job. It's somebody else's job. I don't take it personally. I know the talent that I bring to a project, and if that's not what they're looking for, so be it. It belongs to someone else. So I don't let that negativity into my space. You're allowed to not like what I do. Okay, that's not going to stop me from doing it.
For me,
Thank you for that reminder.
It's not so much as criticism, it's critique, and it'll come from my agent or my editor, and it definitely hurts a little bit, but not because I don't think that they're right, because that's their job, right? Their job is to look at my work and see it in a way that I didn't see it. But sometimes it hurts because I thought I nailed it. And what you mean I got to rewrite all of chapter 1 over again, which is what happened with Yellow Wife. She was like, I love the book, but chapter 1, we might want to rethink it. And so I have to sit with those comments and get over myself and mope a little bit, and then try and flip the way I'm looking at it and see if I could see it with new, fresh eyes and bring something else to the project.
How long do you mope?
A day or two.
Oh.
Yeah.
In dance, you know, you can't see yourself. So you're actually trusting the people who are giving you all the critiques or criticisms to help you get better. Because you don't know. You know how it feels. And sometimes you watch a video and you're like, oh, that felt way better than it looked. And it's the responsibility of the people. So sort of the culture of dancing is that we're, you know, on this endless pursuit of perfection that we all know we're never going to attain. So it's sort of built into how you rehearse, how you choreograph and perform. That's not to say that sometimes you don't get hurt and you're like, but it felt really, really good. And, but it's sort of a way of life, and that I've even taken outside of my career, that I can always be being better than what I am. And keeping that mindset as a dancer is really important, to not get bogged down with the corrections.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing you say that, because I feel like I've gotten feedback from teachers, acting coaches who are like, wow, you can really take notes well. And I'm like, yeah, because I grew up just being critiqued, like, as an existence. But it also kind of messes with your head when you're like, oh, I need to make it's different. You know, you're not part of the corps de ballet, you're like making a strong choice, and then, you know, you might not get the response you want. And I think for me, it's, I don't know, like zooming out. I try to zoom out and look at my life and not just this moment that, you know, got a critique, and understand, I can take that as a potential lesson for the next time and think, how can I do it differently, but still stay true to myself. And also, what you said, Daphne, about, at least for acting, it's like, that's been a journey for me too, coming into understanding this is not my job, it's somebody else's, and I gotta just trust that there's something waiting for me in the wings, which sometimes is you know, a big challenge.
And sometimes in the wings you have to create it.
Yes.
Sometimes to create the job for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Or create the circumstance that will change those person's minds.
Yeah. Because it's like a life situation too. You know, you can sort of like look at your whole life instead of like, okay, this thing was upsetting, but here's other aspects of my existence that are meaningful, and this isn't gonna, and I normally give myself, a friend advised me, like, give yourself 24 hours. Yeah. See if you can get it down to an hour, but that doesn't, I mean, for the bigger ones, that doesn't happen. But like, give yourself 24 hours to like scream and cry and, you know, complain to a friend or 50 friends, and then like, be quiet and move forward.
But also, just basically believe in yourself, and that what you are putting forth is purposeful and genuinely you. And the critiques should change.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think those are great words to end on and great advice. Thank you all so much for your words of wisdom.
Thank you for coming. Thank you very much for coming out.
Didn't we all learn so much from these women today? I know I did. Let's give them one more round of applause.
Excellent.
Thank you all for your wonderful questions. So many great ones out here today. Thank you to Daphne, thank you to the panelists for answering all of these questions, of the ones you all posed to each other and also the ones from the audience. Such a wonderful conversation on embracing the what ifs. I feel like I have some things that I need to stew on later. So please, go home and maybe process this. I know we just talked about, like, maybe some people might think that they need a good cry after hearing what they heard here today, or maybe need to do some goal setting. So if you need to go home and do a little processing after this, I am right there with you. We are grateful to each of these women for joining us today. We still have one more message that we want you to hear before you leave. So I would like to introduce Associate Director of Advocacy and Outreach for Richmond Public Schools. She's also an RPAA board member, Sarah Abubakar. She's going to make some final remarks. Sarah.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Deanna, for leading us through the event today. And let's give a huge round of applause for today's speakers, Daphne, Sadiqa, Maggie, and Scotty. I want to also thank RPAA's Women's Leadership Council, our event sponsors, and of course, everyone in the audience here today and with us virtually. The women on stage today have all benefited from arts being a part of their lives. The same holds true for the students that RPAA works with in programs such as the Greater Richmond Wolf Trap, which teaches important life skills such as creativity, cooperation, and problem solving. Maybe something you heard today has inspired you. I know I have been inspired by these great women. Let's all make a promise to leave here today with a renewed appreciation for the role that RPAA and the arts in general have in our day-to-day lives. And let's challenge ourselves to embrace the what-ifs in our careers, our relationships, and our communities in deep and meaningful ways. Thank you again for joining us. For all of those who purchased Sadiqa's book, she will be at the book bar table back in the lobby to autograph your copy immediately following the event. Also, for anyone who is making a gift today, our RPAA staff will be at the back of the theater to collect your donation envelopes, or you can scan your QR code, the program, to make a gift on your phone. I hope I get to see all of you at some of our future RPAA events, like our Genworth Lights Up Youth Series, or our upcoming parking lot party, which is super fun for all ages, and I highly, highly encourage coming, or maybe our legendary annual gala, which is happening in June. So thank you, hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
I have a table out there as well. I have a table out there as well.
Oh yes. And Daphne has a table out there as well.